Sounds good.
Cool. So, to kick things off, let's do the same boring ass question that I always start with, and that's the simple introduction. Who are you guys, and why are we having this chat?
Well, we're Teenage Joans, and I guess we're chatting because we're releasing some new music soon.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
So, for people that aren't familiar with you guys, which is a little bit crazy to me because you've had such awesome experience already with going out with Foo Fighters and so many other legendary bands, you've worked with so many awesome people in the scene. For people that aren't familiar with you, how would you introduce your sound to them if they're brand new, fresh puppy dog ears?
That's a really good question. Do you want to take it away, Talia?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't even know how to explain it kind of anymore because obviously we're diving into the new album, but I mean, we've always kind of gone down the pop punk alternative route. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things like genre labels are so messy nowadays anyway that like
Yeah.
nobody really fits in one box at all.
No,
So like
Yeah,
it's
no, for
usually
sure.
easier. I'll use genres for like super broad strokes, right?
mm,
The pop punk brush is huge. But then it's
Yeah.
like, well, but they actually sound like this band. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
now we can kind of niche it down. Um, talk a little bit about, uh, Talia, we started to talk about it a little bit. The Australian music scene. So, I'm from the US. I'm a big fan of so many artists that are down there. We touched on a couple already with Between You and Me, Yours Truly, Red Hook. Like the scene is blowing up down there. What do you think it is about the either the scene, or is it just now the with streaming and the accessibility of the music market that is making Australia such a hotbed for up and coming acts?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, there's always been so many great bands in Australia. And I guess like back in the day, you kind of had YouTube, which how people kind of discovered them. But because of like TikTok and streaming platforms and like all the recommendations on Spotify and Apple Music, it's making it so much easier for like all these awesome little like Australian bands to like fall out of the cracks and into the universe that is everywhere else except Australia. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's crazy. You lightly touched on it. There have been legendary bands from Australia, and I think a lot of times people don't even realize that they're from Australia.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend a while back, and I mentioned ACDC, and he's like, "Yeah, they're British, right?" And I'm like, "No, they're not. They're
Yeah,
Australian."
well, even when we went to the US, like a lot of people thought that we were from the UK, but they weren't like asking. They were like certain. They're like, "Oh, which part of the UK are you
Yeah,
from?" And we're like, "Funny enough, we're actually from Australia."
yeah, it's crazy. I think Parkway gets that a lot too, where
Mm.
they're massive, and I mean they've done so much for that Australian scene. For you guys, again, you've already done so much and started to build your name. Let's talk about kind of leading into where we're at now, right before a new album. You guys have done kind of all the things. You've started to tour the world, you've released records, you've kind of done it all. But what makes this moment feel different and feel new to you?
Good question. I think we're obviously about to start releasing songs and release our second album, which I think, I mean, personally, my personal opinion is that that's kind of the make or break for an artist, right? Because your first album's always going to be good. You've got, however, 20 years of experience to write off of. And you kind of, that's, your sound hasn't been fully discovered and you haven't, no one really knows who you are yet. So
Mm-hmm.
anything is something, right? The second album is like, can you top that? Or are you just a band that kind of will write the same record every time, which isn't always a bad thing, but it's the make or break for especially small artists like us. It's like we really have to just put our all out there and just show what we can do because it's kind of all we got. Like we're almost a bit ferocious about it. We're like, listen up, like we got something to say, we got something to prove, I guess. So yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting touring and stuff with the new stuff because it's very In my opinion, I feel like we're honing in on our sound and it feels a bit more mature. We're adults now. Our first record we wrote when we were teenagers, so this is like the true like versions of us. We've sort of come into ourselves a bit more. We're a bit more comfortable and we've known each other for a lot longer now. So our creative chemistry is a lot more refined, I think. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and let's dive down that road a little bit because I think, you're absolutely right. There's a reason that most artists have the sophomore slump, right? The
Mm.
second album just doesn't quite land the same way. And I think a lot of it does have to do with that first body of work is usually, 15, 20 years plus in the making. But I think the interesting thing a lot of times with that second album is it's a much smaller window of time, but it's usually the more impactful and emotional moment of time as well.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think we've been writing through a lot more themes this time as well. I mean we're doing some different stuff in general. Like for example, on our last record and our even our EP before that, we haven't had full Tahlia songs. Like, so this time around, we've got songs that are just Tahlia, which is cool because, like, a lot of, I mean, like, there aren't a lot of bands that will put out songs where just the drummer is singing, like, for the whole song. So you
Yeah.
got your rare sort of, your spider bait and stuff like that. But I think, I don't know, it's cool to explore different avenues and just be like, yeah, let's do it. We've been like pre-proing a lot of stuff at the moment and we've been drawing influence from the most random sort of things. Like there's a song with a full like Queen inspired breakdown where the harmonies and the guitars and the piano and stuff. We've got some sort of more ballads this time. I feel like our last album we had definitely some sad songs, but this time we've lent into the rock ballad style, so it still feels very full, but it's definitely like it's not stripped, but it's definitely a bit more emotional. So it's interesting. Got some country influence
Yeah.
as well this time. But yeah, pretty it's interesting. Do you want to add Talia to any of that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I feel like as we've noticed, like going through this pre-pro process, like there's more substance to the songs because obviously we've matured in our songwriting and like a lot of the music that we previously listened to when we were younger, we discovered more music and we're taking inspiration from that. So it's like we've definitely matured in our songwriting and that's definitely being shown in this new album.
Yeah. And I think there's kind of an unspoken thing that happens a lot of times too, and I'd love for you guys to talk about it, is not only taking inspiration from other places, but looking back at your own body of work and going, man, we kind of missed the ball here. Or if we just evolved this little bit, like what could happen? How much of that was a conscious effort for you guys with this record, kind of looking back and going, we can be bigger in our sound than what we were, or we can dive down that
Mm.
emotional road.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question because we're actually having these conversations behind the scene as well, where I mean, we have had some input from people around us, not in a bad way, just in sort of a business focused sense of just being like, this feels very different for you guys. And our sort of pushback on that is if we don't break the mold now, we will never be able to break the mold in the future. So we might as well push the boundaries a bit. At the end of the day, we're the two people in the room writing the songs. We always have been. And like if that to us, that's what Teenage Jones is. Teenage Jones is me and Talia, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I don't think that that's such a, if we'd gotten 10 different people in to help us write this record and our sounds completely changed, I think that's sort of a different conversation. But at the end of the day, we're the ones writing the songs. We're feeling just a mature shift. And also, we're not trying to write differently. We just naturally are. And I think that will show in the music. And we're pretty lucky our fans will resonate. Well, we hope, but they have resonated with our change in the past. They have sort of grown with us. And because they can feel that it's natural, the natural progression of the band, really. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like we aren't like going into a room being like, we're gonna write this kind of song today. We're gonna do this and
Mm.
this song. It's like let's vibe out and see what falls out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
So
funny because when we have tried to do that, there was a moment in time when we toured with Sleeping with Sirens last year in the US. And when we got home, we were like, damn, like Sleeping with Sirens, we missed their sort of that old sound is really cool. Let's try and write a song that feels like that. And we haven't been able to make it work yet. We maybe down the track we'll be able to flesh it out, but it's interesting when we go in with like a vision of we're going to write this song, it never really works out. Whereas when we just go in and go, let's see what happens, it just kind of jams. And yeah, as I said before, the natural creative chemistry that we both have sort of outweighs any idea. It just everything sort of comes to us, and we can we I don't know, feel like we communicate really well when we're writing, and we both like our ideas can sort of go back and forth. The wavelength is like very open and clear. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, when you're, to your point, when you're trying to write a song very like specifically as a sound, I think a lot of times you end up putting mental blocks on yourself because it's like we have to shoehorn the lyrics in, we have to
yeah,
shoehorn this all in. And then when it
Yeah.
doesn't quite fit in that pretty little box, it's like, cool, we just wasted 4 hours. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
yeah,
But I think as well, it's also, I mean, this is one thing I've been making a conscious effort to do this writing process is to sort of break that mold a bit for us and push the boundaries. I've been going, when we sit down and we write, I'd usually go, what's the Teenage Jones formula here? Like, what have we done in the past? Yeah, maybe we're going from the second chorus into the bridge. Let's do the opposite of that. And I think that's made our creative process really interesting because choosing the option that we wouldn't do and seeing if it works, and sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of the time we've found a new interesting avenue that we're discovering on our own, but at the same time we're kind of breaking our own little mold a little bit, which is cool,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like you said, hopefully fans will listen to it and understand like this is a bit of a growth process. There's some
Yeah.
intentionality with it, but also like, I'll date myself. I'm 40 years old. I grew up with Newfound Glory when they first came out. And like it's funny to me because as they got older, they write a little bit different songs and whatever, and people get mad about it. And it's like, they're not fucking 17-year-old kids anymore. Like, of course
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
different.
Also, like, if you want to listen to that music, go listen to the
Right.
album,
Yeah,
the
that
old
album still
album,
Yeah.
you
exists.
know?
Go grab it.
Like
Yeah.
we've like really stuck to these days being like we want to write songs that we want to be playing in 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not that we're going to get sick of. So,
Mm.
Yeah.
It's definitely a
yeah.
conversation we have in the writing room too. A lot of been a couple times where we're like, this sounds cool, but if we put it out now just because we love it, are we gonna in 10 years when we're our 30-year-old selves instead of our 20-year-old selves, are we still gonna enjoy singing these lyrics about blah? And I mean, a really good example for us is our probably biggest influence is 5 Seconds of Summer, and they've constantly talked about how, I mean, like, yeah, they're like, they'll, props to our first album that blew
Mm-hmm.
us up and whatever, but we don't want to sing about dating as a teenager and underwear and like,
Yeah.
the underwear song and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think it is a very interesting conversation. And they've been a major influence for us in just maturing our sound as well, because we've stuck with them the whole way. And I think that is because their music has changed. We've found different sort of avenues through them that I mean, if they had released, we love their first album, but if they had
Yeah.
released that 5 times instead of, or 6 times instead of six completely different albums, we might not still be on the 5 Seconds of Summer bandwagon. So, yeah, it's an interesting sort of thing to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it Bring Me the Horizon's a great example of that too, right? Like
Yeah.
you go from insane deathcore to probably the poppiest album they've ever done on their last album. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but it works. And like
Yeah.
I often say that, I look at EPs and albums especially as like kind of like signposts along your journey of life, right? So, it's okay that the one album is a signpost at the age of 17 because that's where we were.
Yeah.
But
And
Yeah.
I think,
every signpost looks like that, then it's like, well, have I grown?
yeah.
What am I
And I
doing?
think
Yeah.
that's our biggest conversation as well lately is like, where obviously we are writing for our fan base. That's probably the one of the main things we have in mind, but we're not writing for the masses. We don't want to write. I always say this. I'm like, I don't want to write for TikTok. That's
Yeah.
not my goal here, because TikTok, you get your 15-second snippet that blows up for a week and that's it. I want to be
Hmm.
a band that sort of writes for the longevity. And I think the way that you do create longevity is by writing for yourself first. And that's what we've been saying. I've been like, as long as you like it, as long as I like it, everyone else, they can either get on board or not. That's for them to figure out. And hey, we're not for everyone. No one is. Like, even, Taylor Swift, the biggest artist in the world, she definitely has a plethora of people who do
Hmm.
not like her. So it's like, not you're never going to please everyone. So you might as well make sure that you're happy first, and then the people will come or they won't. And like, you'll still be happy with the music you're making, and I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, that's the beauty of art, right? Like in the creation process, that art is just for you. It's
Yeah.
your release mentally,
Yeah.
it's whatever it is. And the, you know, dichotomy of it, I guess, is that eventually you release it to the world, and some people go, "Man, this is awesome. I feel this too." And other people go, "Wow, you guys suck. This is the worst thing I've
Yeah.
ever heard."
And that's valid. If it sucks to them,
Yeah.
that's fair enough. You haven't made it unless you got some haters. That's
Yeah.
what they say. But we have a
No.
friend who says often, and I thought this was a really good analogy, is that some artists write because they want to write music versus some artists write because they have to write music. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
we fall in the have to category. Like, we're both two girls with big feelings. We feel like we want to have that emotional release
Yeah.
versus we just want to be famous and we want money and blah blah blah. It's not the
Yeah.
best career to go into if you want money, that's for sure.
And not if you're somebody that needs validation and praise all the time either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Rejection is everywhere in the
Yeah,
music industry.
Yeah.
definitely.
So let's touch on that a little bit. As you guys sit down and write this record, um, you don't have to give the exact details of anything necessarily or whatever, but like, we're talking about it being a mental release. What's it been like looking at yourself introspectively now, writing this album and going, man, I really have grown since the last album, and this is where we're at.
Mm. Do you want to take
Yeah.
this,
Well,
Talia?
yeah. I think the way that we like process things, obviously that comes with maturing as well, but the way we're processing things through our writing is completely different. And it's kind of like rewarding to see that, being like, hey, I'm not actually like a 15-year-old girl going through these emotions. I'm like 23, 24, like kind of dealing with them somewhat properly, and like being able to put that out into the world, and having people be able to like relate to that as well. Like giving people, yeah, it's just something to be like, hey, I'm actually not alone going through this stuff. There's other people going through it as well, kind of thing. It's just rewarding,
Yeah.
just seeing how we've
And I
grown.
think
Yeah.
another thing as well is, like, we're definitely exploring different topics. Like, I feel like a lot of our older stuff, I mean, our first EP was sort of about being a teenager in the world and everything's crazy. Why is everyone so weird and blah blah blah. And
Yeah. And I
then,
guess it's all we
like, our
kind of knew
Yeah.
yeah, and then
at
our
that
first
point.
album was a bit of that, and it was sort of like, the first heartbreak, first love, like that's obviously a big emotion to feel. But this album, we're sort of touching on I mean, we still talk about, I feel like love is a very prominent topic
Yeah.
in our music. We live for the romance of it all, but
Live for the
we've
yearn.
touched on, yeah, we live for the yearn for real. But we are touching on some more deeper topics. Like, I think we've explored mental health a little bit in this album, which is obviously a very important discussion to have, and also kind of trying to look at it from a hopeful perspective as well. To give, I mean, in our scene specifically, there is a lot of um, sort of battles with mental health. A lot of people that we meet that come to our shows will open up to us and tell us that our music has helped them through a hard time. And so I think not that we owe anyone anything, but I think in a way it is nice to feel like we can touch on those topics to maybe help someone out. And it helps us out, obviously, to release that emotion. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think obviously with you guys, it's not done with any sort of like savior complex or anything like that. When it
Yeah, of
comes
Yeah.
from a place of
course.
authenticity, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, we're writing this to relate to people,
Yeah.
because you've authentically felt it yourself.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I would like to touch on that a little bit, because I've talked to so many Australian artists, the mental health scene in Australia as well is handled much differently than in the US. What do
Yeah.
you guys see, with your scene locally, around that support system and kind of the vulnerability of the scene in your area?
Yeah, I think one of the big things in Australia is that everyone talks about it, about like the challenges of like being in a band and being on tour for like long periods of time, being away from home. Like it's not something that's just like not talked about. Like it's not like a taboo topic because everyone goes through it, and it's nice having like a lot of our friends have been obviously touring years before us. So just being able to talk to them about it and like not feel judged or any of that kind of stuff. But
Mm.
everyone in
There's a lot
Australia is
of
just nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation. I feel like we were very lucky. We had a lot of like mentor sort of figures of
Yeah.
people who'd been through stuff that could help guide us on the path. Because especially as a woman in music, in alternative music, it's not an easy road to go down. But
Yeah.
yeah, we've had a lot of like people guide us through, which has been really nice.
Yeah. And how is that translating to this album when you look at like lyrically or even sonically, like trying to deliver those emotions? Is it coming through pretty raw and easy, or do you almost feel like you're forcing yourself to give it up? You know what I mean?
No, it definitely feels very raw and very easy.
Yeah.
I think like yeah, as we said before, we've sort of got the space now as we've matured a bit more to be able to speak about our feelings in a bit more eloquently and with a bit more care behind what we're actually saying versus, when we were 15, we were like just saying stuff because when you're 15, you don't really have a filter. You just say stuff,
Right.
which is like admirable in itself. But it's been nice to sort of hone in on things. We've got a song on the next album that's like talks about sort of the queer experience, and because I'm queer myself, and
Hmm.
Tahlia is obviously a great ally and has queer family members and stuff. So we're very conscious of, and a lot of our fan base is does talk to us about their queer experience and identities. And so we want, like, I sort of had this idea to write this song that would uplift queer voices, and especially now more than ever, the political climate of the world. Like, I think obviously there's a lot of stuff going on and it's really morbid. And that's not to say that we can't feel that morbid feeling. I think it's important to feel how heavy it is, just to be aware.
Hmm.
But I think also there is some, like, I think it's important to have some inspiring sort of joy and liberation behind the sadness because it's yeah. So we got this song called To Live in Shame, which is about sort of breaking free from living in shame. Um, which yeah, we're pretty excited about because it's very different for us. It's a very different sound, but and very different lyrically. But I think it'll hopefully the goal is to help. I mean, that was probably the one in my mind that I was like, everything is for us, but this one's for everyone else because I
Yeah.
hope it helps someone out of something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really cool concept too, because like you said, I think it's important for everybody to feel the heaviness of what's going on in the world, but
Mm.
also do it with the appropriate amount of caution, right? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody's going to handle it differently, everybody's going to react to it differently. And then to have a song like what you're describing, where we feel the heaviness, we see the heaviness, but here's a little bit of an escape to talk about
Yeah.
that is a really
And
cool
Yeah.
it's
idea.
we've talked about this before as well, is like a lot of our favorite sort of emo adjacent bands are actually looking at things from a very hopeful and positive lens. Like I
Hmm.
think Bring Me the Horizon, as you mentioned before, like obviously they write about some very heavy things, but in the end, it's always kind of this hopeful, we'll make it through, we'll get there. And I think that's inspiring, especially for people like us who are in a position where we can show our journey with mental health and sort of those things. It's important to have for people to see that we are surviving, we are making it through, and that there is a point. Because I
Hmm.
think that's important. I mean, yeah, obviously artists write about whatever for whatever reason, but we've always been naturally drawn to the artists that are like, yeah, everything sucks, but it's gonna be okay. Like,
Yeah.
and we both feel that sort of with each other and behind our writing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, like I said, every album is kind of a signpost along the road. If you had to describe what this signpost says with this upcoming album, what do you think that would be?
Oh,
Yeah, I know,
Oh,
loaded question,
that's
right?
yeah, that's a good
a very loaded
question.
question.
Hmm. I don't know. We talk a lot on this album about heaven and hell, but not in a
Yeah.
religious sense. It's more of a
Mhm.
metaphorical sense of like we've been to hell, like we've been through some shit basically, and we made it out and we're on the way to heaven. It's not religious at all. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
obviously a metaphor, but I think yeah, it could say something like yeah, hell hell that way, heaven this way, on the road to heaven kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But yeah,
I really like that idea because like I'm not religious. I consider myself more spiritual, whatever is,
Yeah.
however we take all that. But the idea of like heaven and hell existing even outside of religion is one thing, but also like I've dealt with mental health my whole life. So like in my deep, dark, depressive states, I'm in hell. But when I'm having a good
yeah,
day, that there's that heaven looking for that good day. So I really like
yeah.
that idea that like you could take it religiously if you really wanted to, but that's not the intent, and nobody has to.
Yeah. Yeah, and also
Yeah.
we like to keep our music almost as vague as possible so that anyone can relate. Like I know that like for example 21 Pilots, I know that Tyler Joseph has spoken a lot about how he's quite religious and very Christian, and a lot of his themes come through as or a lot of his writing is based around religion and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because their fan base is almost the complete opposite of what you'd expect to
Yeah.
their that writing to attract. They've got like young queer emo alternative kids that are really drawn to their writing. So I think keeping it semi vague in a way like can be useful. Like for example, we're not writing religiously, but maybe there will be someone who struggles with I'm queer but I'm also religious. This applies to me because it's kind of both. Like
Yeah.
so, and we've always tried to keep it like I love the Phoebe Bridgers ultra specific writing style, and we do have a couple moments like that every now and then. But at the end of the day, I think the vagueness can be helpful to multiple different journeys and people and whatever,
Yeah.
which is a cool
Yeah. I
thing to
think
have.
that's the best thing about music is that it's subjective and so many people are going to interpret it completely opposite to what another person's going to interpret it. Like they're going to interpret it in a way that helps them
Yeah.
relate to
Of
it,
course.
kind of thing.
Yeah. I fully agree. And I really need to like go read this quote again so that I make sure that I'm paraphrasing it correct. But I think it was Dave Grohl uh had a moment where he was talking about a song and he said the cool thing about music is I can write a song that means one very specific thing to me, but the second that I release it, it means a million different things to a million different people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
let it
100%.
meet people wherever it meets them. If they need it because their
Yeah,
dog passed, fine. If they need it for a
Yeah.
hmm,
breakup, that's cool. If they need it
yeah,
because they dropped their pizza, fucking all right. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
I've always said
Yeah,
like I feel
definitely.
like music is the secret language that just connects us all. It's this
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
unspoken thing that we like me an Australian like like young woman I could meet like a man in I don't know China who's like 50 years old and has kids and blah blah blah. And we could relate on there might be a song that we both like for
Yeah.
whatever reason. It doesn't have to be the lyrics. It could just be the I mean I feel like me and Talia both sometimes listen to music in different languages just because we're like this riff is awesome or whatever. Like it's just that secret language that we can all connect on at the very end of the day
Yeah.
despite race, religion, sexuality, gender, etc., etc. Like it's that middle ground
Yeah.
between humans.
100% agree. I talk a lot about like people vibrate at different frequencies, right? And I think that's
Mhm.
why music is the universal language, is because, like you said, it doesn't matter if I don't understand the words. If I feel the vibration
Yeah,
from that song, I'm gonna relate and be okay.
Cool. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So as we have this conversation, you guys have a new single coming up very, very soon. Let's touch on the
Oh,
new
yeah.
single, Bandits. You mentioned a little bit of country esque twang coming in. So, again, don't have to give away what it's fully about, but talk about the process of like writing this and deciding that maybe some country influence is necessary.
Don't take it
Yeah,
away.
well, yeah, we were actually, it's funny enough that you mentioned Between You and Me before, because we were actually, when we were in the writing room with them writing 1-800 Painless, like we were like messing around with a bunch of different stuff, and we found these chords that were really cool. And then one of the guys come in and was like, "Oh, I've got a riff," and then he busts out that riff that has been in like all the snippets and stuff. And we sat with it. Well, obviously we didn't do anything with it, but we were like, that's like so sick. Like, let's kind of do something with it. So we, yeah, ended up with Bandits. We took it back into one of our like little writing sessions that we had. And we just fleshed it out. And then, yeah, it's so fun. I love it. I've been loving country music at the moment. So definitely a fun thing to play. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think it's always cool when any artist really kind of genre jumps, even if it's just for a song, because it goes back to what we just talked about, where like music transcends whatever stereotype you fit into or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool because like to hear that, Between You and Me was one of them, because I remember talking to the guys and them saying like, we're thinking about a country album jokingly, but they were like kind of
That's so
serious
funny.
too. So
Love
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're awesome. So you guys have again done so much already in your career with tours and some of the just spots that you've had. What's it been like to see that come so quickly, but also, and maybe I'm projecting on you, but feeling a little bit isolated because of Australia and not being able to travel as freely or as inexpensively as like in the US, bands go on tour every month. But for you guys,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can travel around Australia. That's still kind of expensive and time consuming. And then God forbid you try to
Yeah.
get to the US or the UK. So what's it been
Yeah.
like being like, man, we know we can do so much, but we're kind of held back.
Yeah. I mean, we've spent like the first, I don't know how many years, maybe first 2 or 3, like touring like every weekend. Like we were away, not just like, oh, playing like, I don't know, like an 2 or 3 hours drive, like going to Melbourne and Sydney. But yeah, you can only go to Melbourne and Sydney and all those places so many times, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like it's been so fun. But it's also been like, oh damn, like just want to get to America. And we do 2 American tours, which are amazing. Definitely
Yeah.
taught us a few things, that's for sure. And it's like Australian touring and American touring is so different because obviously, like, you go on a plane and then you get to Melbourne and then you probably fly home the next day or fly to the next like city. But in America, you just drive everywhere, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy because you drive 8 hours in Australia and you get to like from Adelaide to Melbourne or like some other like rural town. So it's
Yeah.
crazy that in America that everything is so close, which is
Well, and that
insane.
Feels a bit like you feel a bit like a caged chicken, and then in America
Yeah.
it's like a free range chicken, you
yeah.
know? Like
Yeah.
you run a couple laps and then you go a bit stir crazy. Whereas over there we've got wherever we can go, we can roam, you know?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
limitless.
It's funny. I went to Ireland a few years back, just on a vacation, and I was going to be making like a 3 hour drive that day. And I was talking to the Airbnb host, and she's like, "I can't believe you're driving that far." And I'm like, "I'm no, I'm from America. 3 hours is a day trip. That's
Yeah.
nothing for us. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've driven 8 hours for a show. Like, it's fine. I got this."
Yeah.
Love
Um,
that. Also, I'm so sorry. I'm at
you're
work
fine.
right now and I've
No,
just been on my
you're totally
break, so
good.
I'm gonna have to probably head off, but feel free to continue chatting with
Yeah,
Talia. She has
all good.
the answers.
Yeah, all
But
good.
thank
We're
you so
close to
much for
wrapping up
having me.
anyway. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks for doing
perfect.
it.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys go, but feel free to take on Talia.
Yeah.
Quiz her. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Nice to meet you, Josh.
Nice to
Thank you
meet
so
you.
much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
So
Yeah, cool.
yeah, it's crazy, like the amount of driving that is acceptable here versus other countries. It's like they don't, it just doesn't,
Yeah.
the math doesn't work.
No, and I'm like, it's really cool. Like, obviously, after the shows in America, we because there were like five people in our RV, which is like an eight-person RV, but you definitely cannot fit eight people in those
No,
RVs comfortably.
no.
Because obviously, like me and Carly always bunk together just because it's cheaper and there's two of us, and then we had our driver and our TM and our photographer as well. But it's just like you it like RV and van touring is just not a thing in Australia. And it was such a shock. Like, because obviously we in Australia we fly, we check into the hotel and we have a shower after the show. But in America it's like there's no running. We didn't have any running water the first time because it was
Yeah.
so cold and our pipes would freeze. So we were like showering at gyms like before and after shows. It's just
Yep.
it's a different world. Like it was so much fun, but it's crazy different.
It's so different than anywhere else. Even like UK tours are much
Yeah.
different. Like there's still a fair bit of driving, but it's usually
Yeah.
we're driving to a hotel, we're gonna crash, we're like
Yeah.
everything's fine. But yeah, the US, it's like, no, we're gonna park in this Walmart's parking lot, we're gonna
Yeah.
sleep for the night, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, we were like doing obviously we weren't driving, but our driver, we were sleeping during the drives. Like
Hmm.
we'd drive overnight. So we were just like sleeping and we were just like this the whole
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Just because we were under the wheels, like on top of the wheels as well.
Yeah.
But I actually did end up throwing my back out as well because of like I just turned 22 and I threw my back out because the ride was too bumpy because I
Yeah.
was sleeping. It's
No, it
crazy.
it is. But like you said, it's also one of the coolest things because like you do get to experience so much. And like uh,
Yeah.
we're not the best country when it comes to politics and a lot of other things, but
Yeah.
we are a gorgeous country when you're out just
Oh yeah.
driving down the roads.
Yeah, well, I think one of the first tour, we like went to Niagara Falls and it was gorgeous. I mean, I was really hungry that day and because it was really cold as
Yeah.
well. But like the scenery was just beautiful. I was like, yeah, Australia is beautiful, but there's so many beautiful places in America. And like a lot of the people that we met at shows were really lovely. Like they actually cared about the music, you know?
Yeah.
Like in Australia, obviously you get like the obviously the music lovers, but it's just like it's different in America. Like a lot of the crowds we were playing to were these like obviously young emo kids, and there's like obviously that kind of um subculture in Australia, but not as heavy in America. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things too where you kind of mentioned it earlier where like you can only play so many shows that are quote unquote local before it's like, okay, they know what we're going to do. We don't have
Yeah,
anything new. Everybody's just hanging out. It's almost like you become a background, like you're a jukebox while everybody else is just chilling.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And like
Yeah.
especially doing so many like yeah, just so many shows in Australia. Like, and obviously the first album and the EP, like that's all the music that we had. Like we didn't have
Right.
anything else because it was obviously our first, like, I don't know, 20 years of experience. So now, like with this new album coming out, we have so many more, like, just options of what to play and
Yeah.
different things. Like it's really exciting times, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's talk briefly about whatever you're allowed to talk about for plans for 2026. You're still dropping pieces of the album as we go. Is the hope or the plan a lot of touring? Is it music videos? Is it kind of just making sure everything gets done with the album and seeing where things go? What's kind of your
Yeah,
vision for now?
I mean, I'm hoping that we're doing more touring. We've got some stuff lined up for the UK in May, which is really cool. And there were some talks about the US, but we're not really sure at the moment. We did have kind of a quiet year, like 2025. We did spend most of the time at home instead of on
Right.
the road, which was nice as well. It was good to have a little break.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just kind of like finishing off the album, and it's actually also good to have time in the studio and to write because obviously we've spent most of our career touring. So
Hmm.
being able to sit down and be like, we actually don't feel any pressure to like, oh, we have to be here and we have to be here and we have to be at sound check. It's just we actually did a writing trip the start of last year and it was it was so like it's just eye-opening being able to have time and just write freely without no pressures. Don't have to worry about work, playing shows.
Yeah.
But we're hoping like this year is going to be filled with um lots of touring, which is exciting. Just meeting new people, playing with new
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I have talked about this before, especially with Australian bands. Let's touch on, you mentioned potentially the US. Touch on how expensive it is for you guys to fucking get to the US. It's stupid.
Oh my God, it is crazy. And there's only two of us.
Yeah.
Like there's only two of us. So and like, obviously we have a tour manager, but it's like there's only like three sets of flights to pay for, let alone like a five-piece band. But
Yeah.
it's like I think people that aren't really in the world, like in the world of music and touring, they just like, oh yeah, it's just flights. It's like it's not.
It's
It's
so
actually
much more.
your visas. It's also like a carnet, which is like a list of all of your gear, which is really expensive just to prove that you didn't buy the stuff in America. I don't know why that exists. I have no idea.
No,
It's
no idea.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then like obviously like van hire and all of that stuff and just like because obviously you get per diems on tour, but it's also like not not that much for
Yeah.
like a day. So it's like our per diems were like $15 a day. But we did a massive food shop at the start because we're kind of smart with that stuff. Like touring makes us a little bit sick sometimes.
Hmm.
Because I've got asthma and my immune system's just fucked.
Yeah.
So any cold or I just get a chest infection straight away. And like we are making sure to take care of ourselves when we went, but just like I mean, groceries aren't as expensive over there as they are here, but it's also the quality is really different as well.
Right.
So it's like we had to go to Whole Foods, like those kind of
Yep.
nicer places, just to make sure we weren't like getting super sick of the stuff we were eating. But
Yeah.
yeah, just like making sure we're looking after ourselves. It's expensive. Like people don't
Yeah.
realize that.
No, and the visas I like to touch on because like the misconception I think with those two are even when people are aware that you have a visa that you have to apply for and pay for, they're like, "Oh, but you're automatically approved." No, you're putting up
No.
money applying and they can
Yeah.
still say, "Hey, you're not coming."
Yeah, well, we had to do like interviews. So because obviously we're from Adelaide, so we had to go to an interview in Sydney, and we also had to pay for that interview as well. That was like
Hmm.
four interviews, like obviously per person.
Yeah.
No, one interview. So there was four interviews all up, and it's like so you had to pay for those flights to Sydney, and then obviously back, and then pay for the interview, pay for all the other shit you have to pay for. I was like, it's not just like a one-off thing. And then you have to keep doing that as well. Like it's not, here's your visa, you're all set to go, you never have to pay for one again.
No.
Like, no, that's not how
It's every time you come over. It's
it
insane.
is. It is.
Yeah. I was
It's
when I was
crazy.
yeah, when I was talking to the between you and me guys, they had said like before we even land in the US, we are $30,000 behind the ball for tour. Like we're in the hole $30,000
Yeah.
between all the
Yeah.
visas, getting everything ready. So,
Yeah.
he said like
And
realistically our goal isn't even to make money when we come to the US, it's to get out of the debt that we put ourselves in to get there.
yeah, even like paying for flights, because obviously we have like 10 pieces of like gear.
Hmm.
Like we have to pay extra for those baggages. So we ended up paying like an extra few grand just to get the musical instruments that we need over to
Yeah.
play shows. It's
Yeah.
just like it's crazy. But yeah, like it's obviously you lose a lot of money when you tour America, but it's also like it's so worth it.
Yeah.
It's so like just expanding your fan base and expanding like just your mindset about everything. And then meeting like so many like we met so many lovely people when we were over there. It was great.
Yeah. And I think too, it obviously all depends on the market and whatnot, but there are some markets that like really show up for artists, especially when they've traveled.
Definitely. Well, even like obviously because we did the No Offense tour and we also did
Hmm.
Sleeping with Sirens and obviously they're both of their crowds are very like emo, like kind of queer emo kids.
Yeah.
And they're so dedicated. Like they were lining up probably the night before.
Hmm.
They're so and like they show up for the support bands as well, which is amazing because in Australia they do, but not as much as in America.
Yeah. I've
They
heard
they
that's
really show their support.
yeah, I've heard that's way more common here, that like even if it's only half full, like there's at least half the audience there for the opener. Whereas
Yeah.
a lot of times overseas, Australia, even the UK, sometimes it's like the crowd doesn't really show up until the band that they want to see, which is the headliner.
Yeah. And then it's like you go all that way and no one's kind of seeing you play, and it's like, well, then what's the point? But like,
Yeah.
yeah, in America, we had such a good, just a good response from everyone. Like we were meeting people after shows, and everyone was so lovely. Like such lovely people.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Awesome. So as we transition to the end here, I always like to come up with a couple just kind of fun questions. And, since you've been to the US, what was the tour, either gas station or food stop, that like you absolutely loved? Like Waffle House,
Oh,
Bucky's, Wawa.
oh, yeah. Well, actually, I love Bucky's. I have like a Bucky sticker. Oh, you can't really see it on
Yeah,
my drink bottle. And there's
nice.
also one. There's also one on my like my drum case as well. I loved Bucky's. The first time we went in there, it was like 3 a.m. We were in our pajamas. But yeah, we loved Bucky's. Like the first time we went in there, um, it was like back rooms vibes. And then the second time we went in there, it was like middle of the day, so many people everywhere. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And I walked out with so much Bucky's merch. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's nuts. The only way I can describe it to people that haven't ever experienced one is like they claim that they're a travel stop or a gas station. They are a fucking shopping center that
They
happens to sell
are.
gas.
They are. It's like actually crazy. They have everything that you need. They even have like kind of Christian mum coded decorations and then
Yeah,
like fishing dad vibes. It's crazy.
it's the weirdest thing, but it's also like it's one of those, like it's so safe too, because like I'm going to find something that I can eat or that I
Yeah.
need or whatever.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I actually the best thing that I had at Bucky's was I love cinnamon scrolls, cinnamon
mhm,
buns, whatever you want to call them. And I had one from there and they're amazing. They're
yeah,
so good. I didn't try the brisket. That kind of freaked me out a little bit.
it's a little bit of a weird vibe, but like especially if you think about Bucky's as a gas station, I don't trust a gas station making brisket. But if
No,
you
no. So
think
I
of
was
it
just
as like a shopping center, it's like, well, maybe,
yeah, like fast
maybe.
food kind of vibe. It's
Yeah,
yeah, I loved it so much though. It was
yeah,
so cool.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Um, the next one is going to be, as we've talked about you guys maturing and whatnot, and they can be songs of your own or uh, any random songs. But if you had to pick 5 songs to just kind of describe where life has taken you or where you're at in life, what would those 5 songs be?
That's a tough one. That's
Yeah.
that's a tough one. Um Oh, that's hard. Can it be like other people's songs as
Yeah,
well?
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Bandits is obviously on there just because it's like a new era kind of for us.
Hmm.
Um, and then I would say, honestly, maybe anything off of Hayley Williams' new album. I'm a massive
So
Paramore
good.
fan, and I
So good.
love Hayley Williams. Like, I don't know, there's something about that album that just I don't know, it like tickles a little spot in my brain.
Hmm.
So, like Parachute. Favorite
Parachute
off
is
the album as well.
amazing.
It's so good. Even like Showbiz and True Believer. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just incredible album.
Yeah.
I
She's
love it
so
so much.
talented. It's insane.
Yeah. And then also it's I can't pick songs.
That
I can't do that.
you could do
But
albums or artists,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, well, I mean 5 Seconds of Summer's new album as well is incredible. And it definitely shows like they're maturing as artists, which kind of is obviously super relatable to us at the moment. So anything off of that album as well. I'm trying to think. Actually, also Treaty Oak Revival's new album. They're a country band, just saying.
Yeah.
But their album is incredible as well. And I think I don't know, it's unlocked a new realm of music for me, which is I never thought I'd say I love country music, but I fucking love country music. I'm
It's
gonna
a
say it.
it's a bold move.
It's crazy. No, it's like, but it's also, I don't know. I saw a post, like a comment somewhere about Treaty Oak Revival being like,
it's kind of like Hot Mulligan, but just with like a twangy accent, which is so
Yeah,
true. So,
yeah.
and Hot Mulligan's one of my favorite bands as well. So,
They're so good. They're like everything that they've done, especially recently, but like to see their journey has been
yeah,
insane because they're Midwest kids
it's,
like me. So like to see them from small ass like VFW and basement type shows to I photographed them with Fallout Boy at an arena, and it's like, what the
yeah.
fuck has happened here, guys?
It's crazy. And it's like we're actually playing a show with them in Melbourne, which I screamed when we got the offer, by the way.
Right?
And then I nearly cried a little bit, but I was in public. I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, got to be
But
tough for
yeah,
that.
it's just yeah, thank you. But it's just like yeah, they're just there how they've matured as well. And they've put out so many albums now. And it's
Yeah,
just getting better and better. Like it's crazy. It's
yeah,
honestly crazy, but it's awesome.
yeah, absolutely. And then the last one, since you guys have been able to kind of see the world to some, to the majority of the degree, I guess, if you had to move from Australia to anywhere you've toured, where would you go?
Oh, you know what? I would so move to Salem. Just saying.
Okay.
I I'm like a big me and my mum, we love like Halloween and I'm a big
Yeah,
like
big witchy vibes and
yeah, I'm a big like horror fan. Actually, like I'm sitting at my desk and there's like all these like Elvira and like Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff sitting there. But I would so move there. Also, the houses there are
hmm
gorgeous. They're
yeah,
so gorgeous.
that old world still for the construction and everything. Yeah, it's for anybody that's not familiar with Salem and the lore and everything, you have the witch trials. Edgar Allan Poe is from just a few hours south of there. Like that
Yeah,
whole cryptic gothic vibe
I
exists
love
through
it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's such a spooky place, but I don't know, it feels so warm when you go there because everyone is so lovely.
hmm
Like like you think it'd be like a really scary place, but it's not. It's just I go there and I'm like, "Oh, I'm home now. I love this place."
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to add one more question because you mentioned
Yeah.
the horror fandom here. I have a buddy that's a huge horror nerd, and he'd yell at me if I didn't ask. What's the number one horror movie of all time for you?
Oh, you can't. Oh, that's hard. Well, I think it's got to be probably two franchises, which is the Final Destination franchise and the Saw franchise as well. They are like some of my favorites. And also Chucky, but that's like not a horror movie. That's like funny, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But
Is
definitely
is
those two.
Saw and Final Destination because it's a little bit more psychological rather than just straight up slasher?
Yeah, yeah, I think I love slasher movies, but I love like psychological. I actually just graduated uni and I studied like psychological science. So that
Oh,
stuff is definitely up my
yeah,
alley for sure.
yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, love that stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna have to tell him that and see what he thinks.
Yeah.
I know he really likes the Saw movies. I think he likes the first like two Final Destinations and then fell
Yep.
off a little bit in the series, and then like the newest one was like, oh, they're back. Like they've
Yeah.
got it
Well,
together.
I actually haven't seen the new one yet. I've been waiting for like the perfect moment to watch it.
Yeah.
So honestly, I might watch it today after we've spoken about it, but I can't I can't watch Final Destination on any plane ever because that freaks me out.
Because you're gonna fall out of the sky, right? Like,
Yes. So like I have to put limits on where I watch my horror movies because I consume too much horror and it freaks
right.
me out sometimes.
Hey, that's the way to do it though, right? Like self-impose your trauma so that you can be like, well, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I love a good slasher movie as well. But actually I watched a really good have you seen Weapons?
Not yet. I've heard incredible things about it.
It's amazing. Like it's more like psychological kind of vibes. Obviously there's like gore and slasher kind of stuff as
Yeah.
well, but I don't know. It's one of the best movies that I've watched in a while. So, and even
Hey,
like the way they did it with like different perspectives and stuff. I just love it.
yeah.
I'm a horror movie nerd. I love it.
Hey, everybody's got something, right?
That's true.
So awesome. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I'm stoked for you guys with this new record. I think, you guys are, like I said earlier, you've already done so much. And I think maybe, obviously being in Australia thing is kind of a little bit of a chain that holds you back to some degree. But I think that, you guys are right on the cusp of this breakthrough, hopefully, that is like, that's no longer an issue because we know wherever we go, we're going to be supported and
Yeah.
we're going to be able to do this. And like I said, I really think that you're right on that cusp. I think this album has that potential to kind of push you over the edge of like, well, everybody wants Teenage Jones to come and see what this is all about. So
Yeah.
really, really
Well, thank
excited for
you.
you. Yeah, really
Thank
excited
you.
for
Thank
you.
you so
So
much.
um obviously I'll link all the socials and stuff, but at the end, I always give the guest time. Where can people find you? What's the best way to interact with you? What can they expect?
Yeah, I mean, we're on obviously every social media platform. We're on even on Facebook. I don't know if people use Facebook anymore, but for the parents that love us, we're on
Yeah.
Facebook. We're on Instagram. I think we have Twitter. I'm actually not sure. I don't have Twitter, so I don't know if we have that.
I don't
But
use it
like,
either, but
no, obviously like YouTube, TikTok, we've been trying as well, which is another world. But
yeah.
yeah, all the streaming platforms, YouTube, everywhere. Find us everywhere.
Awesome. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time, even though you're in the future for us. We'll keep you posted on when this is going to go live and everything. And
Yeah, awesome.
like I said, really excited to check out the new album and try to broadcast it as much as we can.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having us. It's been so fun just like having a chat.
Yeah.
Super great questions as well, which is awesome. Not the
Yeah.
same shit we hear all the time.
I try. That's my whole goal.
Yeah, well, you're doing well. It's awesome. We've had so much fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
A good night, I should
Yeah,
say.
good night now, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. See
Awesome.
ya.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.